Hello everyone and welcome to the first part of the tutorial. My name is Alexander Björk and I will be showing you a bit how I created my hair for this character and show some tips and tricks how I did it. I will then continue by making a new hair for the sake of this tutorial series. I will first show you some approaches that you can go for and explain them, and then from there I will time-lapse the rest of the modeling process, since it's going to be very repetitive and I will be using the same process over and over. So I will be explaining the pros and cons for different approaches that there is for modeling hair. But first I will show you a little bit about the layering process here, like the thought process and the way I did it for this character. And for this character, I of course, like the first thing you should do, like when you're making hair, is that using references, and that's what I did. That's what you always have to do. So if we go to my reference here, and this is not the one, this is the one. You can see I painted it over my reference here, and in order to like tackle like how, like if you're having a problem, like how will I be how will I do a certain hair, and how do I like break it down and make it into like poly strips like this. So what I usually do is that I take a reference that I would like to use, like what I want to model from, and then I just paint it over. So let's say I paint these as like I paint the flow after the how the hair strands follows, and let's say I want the yellow to be the yellow card, like I like the one card, like one poly strip in its own UV space, and this will be representing the long hair strands. For long hair strands, I will using this hair like poly strip for all the long hair, for long hair basically, and for the blue part is like the smaller ones. This will be another poly strip in its own UV space, and I will which you will place all over the back of the head here, or the side of the head, and the red part is another. Like, yeah, it goes on and on. Like you kind of try to break down which ones will be like separate ones, and I can clearly see excuse me, I can clearly see like these red parts here, like these fussiness, like these smaller hair strands here. I could use it up here, where it goes here, and I could use it up here, and like kind of add a little bit more details along the way, and fill it in. So this is one way, like you can break it down when you're planning to model the hair for the character. So if we go back to my character again, so you can see all the parts here. Like these all parts here are the same, like are sharing the same UV on top of each other, and these are representing the long strand, the hair strand, and these represent the fussiness, like in its own UV space. Like this is a different group, so basically, matter of speaking, and yeah, it goes on and on. Like you're breaking down and use kind of different layering. Like you have to analyze analyze what you see, like why is it following these directions, and everything is kind of, you can see that she has like I'm not really sure what you call it in English, but it's like a whirlwind, it's like twisting around here. I'm not really sure, I don't really know the name of it, but it's kind of, so yeah, you kind of like need to analyze why is the hair behaving like it is, and the placement of the hair. So that's very, very important to sell the hair, like if it actually flows naturally, if it is artificial, and people will be able to tell that if it is artificial and fake if you do it in the wrong way, like if you don't know how the hair is actually flowing. So so you're gonna need to keep that in mind, and so that's why you really need to use references, and don't expect too much for your first try. Like not even the professional people of doing this for several years, like let's say 10 years, they don't always manage to make it perfect for the first time, like when they do their hair. Like you always go back and forth when you're making hair. Like you don't expect like you will get the perfect match in the first try you do it. So it's all in the practice. You have to do it several times. So for those who are extremely new to this, you really need to like. I would recommend you to choose something very simple at first, and kind of start from a very simple things, and then go from there. Don't go anything crazy, like don't go for super complex hairstyles and things like that. It's use a reference that is very like plain and simple, and it's kind of like, let's say a long haired woman, or like a kind of like a long haired woman who has all her hair is like straight and like long. It's not very much like variations. So choose something like that, and build and start from there. So so if we go to Blender now, so here are or the way I do it, like when I model hair, is that there are two different approaches that you can do this. Like the very the standards, you could say, like like what people usually do when they model hair, is that you could either use Nurb curves that I did for this hair, or you could actually you could go for modeling at start, and start by just modeling and worrying about UV mapping later. But you can also, for this example, if we go to another layer, let's see, here we go. Some people actually model their hair planes like this. They like rolling up like this, and kind of breaking down. Okay, I will kind of look at their reference, and then they break it down to different kind of different hair cards, and then they UV map it like this, UV unwrap, and then they already have it here. So when they duplicate a hair strand and place it around the head, it remains like you don't have to worry about the UV mapping, because each and every hair strand is on top of each other on the UV map in the UV space. So you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to. So let's say if you would model the character like the hair head on, like with Nurbs curves. The thing is that if you have like 50 strips of polygons, if you kind of like different kind of poly strips, it's gonna take a while to UV map all of them, and then place on top of each other in the right order, or not the right order, but on top of each other basically. That's gonna take a while, but so yeah, but none of these are like, there's nothing wrong of each one of them. You use the ones that you are that you feel that you basically feel comfortable with. So if we so let's say if we go to this one, the naked head here. So what I did was, if I show you very fast here about the Nurbs curves, is that the pros with this one is that you will get evenly distributed topology when you are when you are more like when you get the hair strand, like you get the evenly distributed, and you can easily non-destructively get like add or maybe have less geometry as you go. So let's say if I just do this very fast here for the sake of the video, for the tutorial, you can go into the Nurbs curves here, like the options here, and then you go, let's say we don't want it to be cylindrical like half moon here, so we want it to be front here, or back, it doesn't really matter, but in this case I choose front, and then I choose, then I go down here in the geometry here, and then I kind of click and drag and add a little bit more. Then you can see I have a hair strand here now, like a polar strip here now. So but now it's facing the wrong direction here. So in order to, like, usually you just rotate like pressing R, but in this case it doesn't really work and it's kind of a hassle. So in order to make it face towards me, is that you can actually, in this case for Nurbs curves, you can actually press Ctrl T and you will kind of rotate it, like tilt it. So now you can rotate around it like this, have a little bit more control, and then you could just move it around here. And if we press Z here, you can see it's evenly distributed like this. But you can see it's very jaggy right now, it's very edgy, but that's because it's based on the vertices here for the poly strips. So what you can do is that you press A for choosing all the vertices, and press W, and then press subdivide, and then you just smooth it out a little bit, and then you kind of get a little bit more smoother angles here, and then you, if you want to decrease the amount of polygon here, now we have a lot of polygons here. So what you can do is that you go into resolution here in the shape options here, and then you just decrease it, and you can see it's changing here to less geometry. And if you want to have like a loop here in between, you can go to the geometry here, and then you just add a resolution, and then you see it's added some more loops here. So this is one way you could do it, and you can just go to a proportional editing and then just move it around, duplicate, and kind of build the hair as you go like this, and just shape it around accordingly to the flow of the reference that you're looking at. And then when you're finished with the like all the modeling with the Nurbs, and when you're feeling like now you don't need the Nurbs anymore, then you just go into object mode, and then you press Alt C and convert it from curve to mesh. So mesh from curve then. So now it's all mesh. So now you can edit, move around and stuff like that. So that's one way you could do it, and change the shape of the hair strands like this if you want to, and that's one way to do it. And then you can use this approach. You could just let's say we could just duplicate this one and go to this layer, and we can move it up here and scale it down a little bit and move it around. Oops, it's all over there, we don't want that. Rotate it 90 degrees. 19, oh sorry, let's rotate this 270 degrees, and then 90 degrees, and there we go. Let's rotate it one more time, there we go. So, and then scale it down. So so now you could just take this one, duplicate, and move it over here, and then we could just separate this one so it doesn't affect this one when we use proportional editing. So now we could just place this one. Oops. Place this one over here, like let's say we just place it like this maybe. We could just scale it down a little bit and then just move it around like this, and then place according to the reference. And the big thing with this one is that you can actually, if you do the texturing already from the start here, like if you already like you map these and then you texture them, and if you are real good at that, like to look at the references and kind of, okay, I will texture it the way it is, and then you could probably like even be able to visualize it even from the start, and being able to see how it actually looks like when you're placing the hair strap strips. So that's the big part, like the big thing with doing this way, this approach, and just move it around like this. And but the thing is with this one is that it's kind of big of a hassle, and sometimes you're starting to get a little bit jaggy here, and sometimes you really like, this is the one thing that I don't like with doing like this, because you get this jagginess, and then you kind of in the end you might need to like add a little bit more, and then suddenly it's not even distributed anymore and you have to tweak a lot. But this one you have evenly and very good fine and good looking, like even distributed hair strips here. But while with this one it's kind of jaggy, but this one is kind of like, I would say this one would be the best if you would if you want to be like save some time and be time efficient. And this one is a little bit it's a little bit more refined when it comes to like the polygons, and being able to, it's a little bit more non-destructible, but it's way more time consuming. So there are two ways to do it in Blender, and the way I did it, like there's another thing with Blender that you could use, which is a very cool feature in Blender, which not many people knows about, is that if we go to the first layer here, the way I did it with this one, I didn't model this by hand. I did model one hair strip, like one hair card here, and what I did is that instead of placing each and one of these separately, like individually, I actually used something that is called particle system. So what you can do is that if we go back to the other character here and go to the head here, what you can do, I usually go into my head here, and then I just choose like the top of the head here and back, and then I just duplicate, make this into a separate object, scale it up a little bit, and then I go into particle system, and then just press new, and then I just let's say I will choose this one, and I want to duplicate this one all over the back of the head here, so I'll just press L to select everything here, and then press P to separate it. And then it's very important where the origin is, so I want the origin to be in between here, so I'm gonna need to make sure the origin is there, because it's very dependable. Like when you're using particle system, it's going to be it's going to place depending on where the origin is. So if the origin would have been all over here, then the hair strips wouldn't be placed on top of the head. It would be like all over up here instead. So that's not good. So let's make sure the origin stays here. So now let's see, if we change the name here, to, let's say, card 01, and then we choose the head cap here, this object, and then do particle system and choose this to hair instead, and then we go down here and to, let's see, to objects. Here in the renders you choose objects, and then you choose, then you go in here, doubly objects, and then you choose card 01, and there you go. So, but you're gonna need to play around with the settings here, like change the way it's placed around here. So what you can do here is that you can actually, it didn't change anything. All right, but anyways, you can actually like just you can go into the particle edit here, and then just comb this whole and change the flow of the lines here, like comb. And then if we go to the object mode, this is just a demonstration, an example. I'm not gonna go into way much more details with this one, but I'm just gonna mention it as so you know about it, that you can use it to your advantage. So you can kind of see now it's kind of crazy here, but it's going crazy because you're gonna need to. You have to be a little bit I'm just gonna go back a little bit, but anyway, okay, there we go. So you can decrease number here, because right now 1000, that's way too much, and with it's way too poly heavy to be game ready. That would be like a cinematic kind of quality there. So that's the way you could do it. And then you just hair length, you can increase the size of it like this, and then you should be able to change the as I said, it's you have to play around with it, and I'm not very experienced with this one. You're gonna need to play it around and see what everything does, but this was just a mention about it, like, so you know about it. You can use it to your advantage to place around very fastly and efficiently. So this is one way you could do it. So yeah, these are like the ways you could do to model hair, and these are the ways I did it. I did for this character. I use Nurbs. And I realized, for me, like, I did have awful a lot more control with the topology, but I realized I would have saved much more time by doing this instead. But it's up to you, like which kind of approach you would like to use. If you would like to choose this approach, or if you would like to choose modeling Nurbs curves and get these nice details. Or these fine topology here. So yeah, so these are the common ways how you would do it for modeling hair, and so yeah, you could just rotate around and change the shape a little bit and make sure because it's very dependable. Like if you take a look at the references again. Make sure, like, if you want to have this kind of shape, like the flow, you're gonna need to place your polygons like that as well. Like if this poly strip is starting here, then it goes up here instead. In this direction, and it goes like this. Another one goes like this, and another one goes like this. So so you have to like place them and be mindful about like where you place them and how you shape them, and there are so another thing is that when you come to the point where you have modeled your hair and then you texture your hair and then you realize there are a lot of holes in your hair, but you can like in your hair, and you're gonna need to like duplicate and fill in, and have to tweak a lot in the textures to kind of fill it in so you don't see the bottom of the hair. What you can actually do to kind of trick that, like it actually looks like the whole head is filled with hair, is that you can actually create a head cap, like a head cap, which I did just now with this one. Oh, sorry. With this one, you just duplicate into another object, scale it up a little bit, and then add another color to it, like a color, for example, a color that matches the color of the hair. So it kind of blends with the hair, so you can't really tell if you're looking at the hair bottom, the bottom of the hair, or if you're actually looking at the hair strands. You can't really tell the difference. I mean, you can tell the difference, but you can't really see if it's actually the bottom of the hair. So if we take a look at the marmoset here, if we zoom in a little bit, you can actually see in very, very subtle that there is some, here you can see very subtle. If you look at the angle here, you can see very, very, very slightly, very subtle, there is something underneath here, and you could probably, like, you can see the bottom of the hair here, but it's the color of the head cap is matches with the hair here, so you can't really see if it is bottom of the hair or if it's just the hair itself. So you kind of tricking the eye into believing it is like the hair strands, but it's not. You're actually looking at the head cap, but it's kind of like a trick you could use to kind of fill in holes so you wouldn't see the bottom of the hair, so to speak. So that's different ways how you could do it. So I will be using these kind of approaches for the whole like hair creation. So this is the way I will do it, and so if in case you're wondering how I made the eyelashes and the eyebrows, it's pretty much the same thing. I used the Nurbs curves, and let's see if I demonstrate very, very quickly. Let's see if let's hide this one, and I'll show you a little bit about the modeling of the eyelashes. Don't worry, I will show you in the time lapse when we get to that. But right now I'll just show you in case if you don't really know where to start with how you do it. So what I usually do is like I choose the edges that I want from the topology of the head, and then I just scale a little bit, and rotate it, and then separate it from the object. And then I choose it, and then I convert it by pressing Alt C and then curve from mesh. Now it is a curve. So now you can go into the Nurbs curve, the options here of the curves, and then you just go into fill here, the shape here, and then full, and then so it will be completely cylindrical, and then you just go into depth, and there you go. Now you have a little bit more like shaped, more of a shaped. It actually looks like it's starting to look like a eyelash. So you can choose to add a little bit more geometry there, and then you just play around with it, and you could actually just play around with the shape here, and then just scale it down by scaling the shape of the Nurbs here. You have to press Alt S to enable to scale the eyelash, otherwise you won't be able to do that. So there you go. So yeah, something like this. Like you have to tweak a lot, and you have to look at the references, and then you go into object mode and Alt C and curve from mesh from curve, and now it is a mesh. And then what I would just do is that I would fill this in, like go into grid fill, and then I just smooth it out a little bit. Let's see, smooth the vertex like that, and then I just do it like this, and then I just duplicate like so, and you can shape it, like rotate a little bit and change the length of some of the eyelashes here, so you get some variations and point them in different directions here, and then you can just choose them again like this, select them, and then just duplicate, and just there are a lot of tweakings, but this is how I did it, and it goes basically the same way for the eyebrows here. So this is the way I did it. So very fast way to do it. So yeah, so that covers like the way I do it, like the workflows that I use for modeling hair. So from now on I will time lapse the rest of the video and show you like the way, because if we go back to the Photoshop, I was thinking of modeling this one and show you like the process of this one in a time-lapse version, because but don't you worry, because all the things that I showed you, that's basically the way I did it. Like I will be doing that all over and over again. It's going to be very repetitive, so it's better if I just time lapse, because you will still be able to see my thought process, and I'll be using the same workflow that I showed you just now. So don't worry about me using like a whole different kind of direction. I will be using the same things that I just shown you. So yeah, so from now on I will time lapse, and I will stop the time lapse at the end when it's done. So I will see you there. So this is what I got, and it's not, obviously it's not done. It's you, as I said before, it's you never really know when it's like, you don't really get it perfect in the first try. So you don't really know that until you put a texture over it. So obviously I know for sure this won't work, especially this area. But at least I have a base now to work with, but this is the way I work with hair, and obviously it needs a lot more work to it. Usually it takes several days actually. If you really want to make a really good looking hair, it actually takes several work days. So yeah, you really need to put some work to it if you want it to look good. So yeah, so I want to do some crazy stuff here that I want to try and see where that takes me. So yeah, this will be the first part of the tutorial. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next part. See you there.